So there's a guy named Steve Jacobs. He, during his PhD study at the University of Chicago, his thesis was about what information actually changes people's minds on abortion. He wasn't advocating for one position or another. He was just asking from a scientific standpoint, what is it that changes people's minds? So he conducted a scientific survey in 2 parts to figure out this question. The first part were 2,899, to be exact, American adults were surveyed, and 81% of these 2,899 American adults said that academic biologists, were the most qualified people to answer the question of when a human's life begins. They were given options about religious clergy. They were given options about a woman. They were given options, about who exactly is the most authoritative person to answer the question of when does a human life begin. 81%, which is an overwhelming majority in the statistical world, said biologists were the most qualified. And by the way, the underpinning of this is 83% of abortion activists, or even just people who are pro-abortion, said that they believed that the support for legal abortion would decrease if it became common knowledge that fetuses, their words, fetuses are biological humans at fertilization. So the abortion lobby, in other words, wants to hide from you the scientific truth that life begins at conception. They want to hide, not necessarily from you and I, because we know this, but they want to hide from the public at large who isn't necessarily active in the pro-life movement. They want to hide the scientific fact because the overwhelming majority believe that if this were common knowledge, support for legal abortion would go down. It's pretty significant. So the second part of Jacobs' survey, after he established that the majority of people, 80% of people, believe that academic biologists are the authoritative source on when life begins, he surveyed 5,502 academic biologists. These are people from all around the world, not just our country. And he asked these biologists the question, when does a human life begin? 95% of these biologists answered, life begins at conception. 5,212 out of 5,502. Does that give you the chills or what? This has established Steve Jacobs, and I've met this guy. He did really good work. I talk about his research a lot because I think it's such a powerful tool for people in the pro-life movement, regardless of whether you're Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. This is such a powerful tool because it illustrates people's mindset and how to actually get to the root of how to change hearts and minds. But again, this all comes back to the fact that leftists try to dehumanize the baby, the unborn baby, because that's the only justification then for killing that unborn child. But when you actually dive into it, if people know that life begins at conception, if they believe that, if they're told that by what they believe is an authoritative source, it changes their mind on abortion.